Black Power. Y'all know how the game go. We done got everything settled. Hopefully you done got you something to drink, got you your popcorn ready. I will be your host for this evening. Welcome to the resurrection of the new Black Panther Party. I'm the host with the most, Brother Yakanan, coming to you live and direct from Houston, Texas, home of Dr. Khalid Muhammad. I am the former National Minister of Information for the People's Party, the former National Chief of Staff for the People's Party, and the former National Chairman of the People's New Black Panther Party. For the first time, I will be introducing myself as the National Chief of Staff for the New Black Panther Party in my new role in the movement. My name is Yakanan Ben Yah. I am an humble servant of the Most High and an humble servant to the people. It is an honor and a pleasure to be with you tonight. We have two guests with us. One of our guests will be hailing from Seattle, Washington. He has a YouTube channel called The 16 Black Meccas. That is the number 16, the 16 Black Meccas. He is the son of Mr. Ron Johnson, who is an original member of the Panther Party in Seattle, Washington. His father is also was a member of the NOI and also a member of us. Whenever you hear this, brother, you are guaranteed to learn something. So I guarantee you are in for a treat tonight. His name is Brother Magnetic. Brother, please bless the people with your presence. Black Power.
Peace, Black Power and refinement to the family. I would like to, just send my revolutionary salutes out to all of our people within the Black Panther Party, the new Black Panther Party as the members, and the new Black Panther Party as the movement, and also the original Black Panther Party who laid us the foundation. They gave us the Old Testament, and we're here to bring forth the New Testament. So,
all right, thank you, brother. That
yes,
is
sir.
Brother Magnetic, member of the new Black Panther Party. The actors have all taken their places on stage. Malik Zulu, it is not a rumor, it is true, has stepped down as national chairman of the new Black Panther Party. He has taken his seat as a justice lawyer for the people. And we believe in the brother, and we want to thank you, brother, for taking your role and playing your role and keeping the party alive and active. But we have with us now, for the first time, the new national chairman of the new Black Panther Party. He is from Dallas, Texas. It is the first time the national chair has made its way back home to Texas since the unfortunate demise of Dr. Khalid Muhammad himself. He is the co-founder of the People's Party. He is the co-founder of the Huey P. Newton Club, national former chairman of the People's New Black Panther Party. And here, for the first time, being introduced to the people on a public platform, I give to you, out of Dallas, Texas, home of the new Black Panther Party of 1989, Brother Babu Omawale. Go ahead and bless the people with your presence, brother.
Peace and power. First and foremost, let me get a sound check to make sure the people are even able to hear me. So, are we good?
You good, brother?
Good, good, good. Well, we can push it forward. There are entities out there that don't want this show to happen. So, if there are some miscues or some miscommunications, we're gonna chop it up to them alphabet boys messing with our broadcast. But thank you for acknowledging me, and it is a pleasure to be here on this fifth day of November. Black Power.
All right, Black Power. So we are going to get right into the questioning. The people would like to hear from the new leadership that is in place of the new Black Panther Party. The people would like to know your plans, the future of what NBP would look like. So we'll swing it over to Brother Babu for the first question.
Mhm.
What is your vision for the party for the next 2 years?
Um, Peace and power. Moving forward, my vision to the party is to give us change culturally, that we are more adept to our culture, to the preservation of our race, to the preservation of our people. I think our cultural value has to be leveled up. And what I'm saying is that we must come to some type of agreement on who we are as a people. Culturally, we're all over the place. We're indigenous. We're
Mhm.
Africans.
Mhm.
Some of us don't claim African. Some of us say we're Moors. Some of us say we
Right.
black. So the first thing that we need to do is find out who we identify ourselves as a people and push that forward. So the first changes I want to make is how we identify ourselves culturally. Secondly, we have to re-involve ourselves in politics. And a lot of people say, well, politics didn't do anything, the vote doesn't do anything. We have to remember, if we're going to survive in the image of the original Black Panther Party, that they were heavily involved in the political arena. And
Mhm.
also, although that analogy doesn't satisfy all people, it does do us due diligence to be committed to politics, especially when it comes to our communities, when it comes to our particular cities and states that we live in. We have to get in that arena where we are governed. We have to be part of that process. The third change that we need to examine ourselves as far as the new Black Panther Party is economics. Uh, as you know, each struggle requires a certain amount of economics. Tupac said in his record, get your money up before you go to war, and that is exactly what we
Mhm.
have to do. We have to get our money up so we're able to put out uh, proper propaganda, so that we're able to finance institutions of liberation.
Yep.
And we can't do any of this if we are struggling economically. And
Mhm.
third and not least, fourth and not least, is a progressive education movement.
Mhm.
People have to
I
understand
like
what
that.
they're getting themselves involved to. But if they can't keep up with the literature because of lacking in literacy, then the people don't have a comprehension of what it is that we're trying to do. So we're going to be pushing a new economic program and unveiling that within the community. Black Power.
All right, Black Pop sounds good, Brother Chairman. Who we are, um, being culturally sound, being politically sound. One of the things that I hate to see is a community of our people being controlled by one or two white men as far as politics are concerned.
Mhm.
Things
Mhm.
should not be happening at all. We should be on politics.
Mhm.
After in coming out of captivity, the politicians control the educational system, and the educators are educated politically to be politically conscious at all. So this is a major problem I see with our people. So, Brother Chairman, I agree with you 100% on all of those fronts. And we're gonna take it over to you, Brother Magnetic. I got a question for you.
Mhm.
So, can you tell us what we have learned from the Black Panther Party of the
Mhm.
60s and also of the new Black Panther Party under the direction of Dr. Khalid Muhammad?
Okay. There's things that we learn ideologically, right? That we study, right? But then those things are tested when we have certain trials. So what I would say, there's a lot of ingredients that went into the first party. And when the trial came, when the test came, what you saw was that a lot of people did not study because they did not pass the test. Let me explain what I mean. So, there came a point, as y'all asked, and we're gonna touch on this. There came a point where they wanted people to study. They had a book list.
Mhm.
But then at the same time, you had another group over here that said, "Hey, it's more important that you learn to use this tool." And people had a choice to pick up that book and educate themselves and prepare themselves, correctly, or go over here and pick up that tool and maybe get into some stuff you're not really prepared for. You see what I'm saying? So I think that some of the errors, I won't say errors, I'll say things that young movements fall into is that everybody has to come in as a student. You know what I mean? Everybody has to come in as a student. And the people who first jumped it off, they were students. Who they call him Stokely Carmichael. We know him as Kwame Ture. He was a student. You know, even Huey P. Newton. He was a student at Merritt College. Kathleen Cleaver. They were all students. The Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. These were all students. So there's an expectation of study. But if you bring people in under other auspices, hey, comrade, such and such, then maybe they don't think they have to study. They're just thinking they have to do certain military maneuvers and whatnot. So I think that began to be somewhat of an error at a certain point when the guy who was the student was pushed to the back. He had a lot of credibility as a student because he did a lot of student activism, and so he had a little bit more of a world study as far as his information and what he knew and the people he was interacting with. Some of the other people did not have, they were not that well prepared. Good brothers, good intentions. However, if you put somebody who's coming from Howard, who's around all these some of the greatest professors known, against somebody who's over here who maybe has a little less study in the same area, there's going to be errors. And remember, we have to remember it was a young movement. Most the youngest was 16 maybe or 13, and the oldest was maybe like 20 of the average Panther. So the movement was young, and there was a lot of young mistakes that was made, but we don't fault them because think of what the young people who are their age are doing now. You see, they're not on, and you guys asked that later on and whatnot. So that's why I salute them for, surrendering their life to the movement, to the upliftment of our people. And, I saw kids that were like my son's age now who was teaching us when I was in liberation school. So I think also when we got away from the programs, when it stopped being program oriented like it was in Los County Freedom, it was directly oriented with an issue that anybody could walk off the street and plug right into that issue and become a part of it. Wasn't so much of a party then. It was more like these are issues and this party deals with it. So people joined the party because they knew they had to deal with those issues that were in the community. So when you make those kind of connections, it's undeniable. It's undeniable. The party sprayed for roaches here. When we had roaches in the Yesser terrace, my dad and them, they went and got the machines and learned how to do it and got rid of, exterminated the roaches. So it was like very fundamental things that we wanted to be see done. We wanted seen done. The Panthers did. That's magnetic. It's like a miracle, you
Okay.
know, in the middle of a desert. I hope I answered the question, family. If I
Yep. All right, brother Babu, you want to pick it back on there for a second?
Right, right. The youth, the young people, some of the elders, they criticized the new Black Panther Party for not following the direct program of the original parties of the 1960s. But what
Mhm.
I've come to find out, uh, Huey's not going to walk through that door again. We know that. Bobby
Right,
Seale is in his 80s. He's not
hmm
going to walk through that door again. Eldridge
right,
Cleaver not going to walk through that door again. So
hmm
they had certain struggles that the youth are not dealing with now. The oppression and the conditions that they were under were very hostile. compared to the generation that we're living in now, the generation of PlayStation and TikTok and YouTube. So the
Yeah.
struggle is not the same. A lot of people condemn the Black Panther Party for not following the ideology directly of the original Black Panther Party. But if you're going to dive into that, times are different. The original Black Panther Party were in support of a lot of things that would not fly today. And what I'm saying is the original Black Panther Party worked with a lot of different ethnic groups, the Young Lords, the White Panther Party, uh, the Brown Berets. And in this time and in this era, I think we have moved more towards Black nationalism and not being as inclusive as the original party was. So a lot of people want us to say, well, you got to do the work of the original Black Panther Party. But at the same time, you don't want us to be inclusive of the ideology of bringing in other allies of other ethnic groups. So at this point in time, I don't think the people know exactly what the hell they want, you know? So I don't see how they could be critical if they don't know exactly what it is they want. The new Black Panther Party at this time is probably one of the most Black nationalist organizations that you can be a part of, other than the Nation of Islam. You know, so I'm gonna leave it right there for now.
Okay. All right, Black Power, brother. You know, I've faced some of that criticism myself. You know, dealing with Hispanics. You know, being in a picture with white people. I done had to call and talk to the brother sometime. Hey man, these people tripping on me even being in a picture with white folks. So as far as this being in a Black national, true Black national organization, brother, I agree with that 100% with you. And we're gonna move to the
And
next.
that's I'd like to add on to that too, family, because when I had conversations with Kwame Ture, we specifically spoke that that's why a lot of the people left the old Black Panther Party and went to the APRP, because there was a bit of a decline in the they didn't have a lot of coalitions with a lot of black groups, but they had coalitions with like the Peace and Freedom Party, and a lot of other white groups and whatnot. Even a lot of the attorneys were white. On the East Coast, they didn't really roll like that. These were like Malcolm's kids, so they wasn't really rolling like that. So that didn't really pop, and that was why, just like y'all said, I was glad to see the new Black Panther Party reincorporating that part, that nationalism, the Pan Africanism, and the liberation theology that had kind of got squeezed out, you know. So
So, Brother Babu, we'll swing the questioning back over to you. So, people make the statement, y'all ain't the real Panthers. You showing up, putting your life on the line, and one of your people you hear right now, you done heard it before. You can hear one of the, want to say, y'all ain't the real Panthers, you know how they say it. So, do you think their ideology would even be acceptable in today's time?
Yeah, that kind of goes into what we just spoke about right now. The Panthers' ideology was a lot more versatile than what we would call ours. Again, they work with different ethnic groups. They were involved in politics. I mean, sometimes now, if you even bring up politics, people, well, what the hell does the vote do? We've been voting for since 1965, and the voters' rights bill and all that, but we have not seen any change. So again, I throw it back to the point that I don't think the people really know what the hell that they want in this social climate, in these social conditions, in this generation. So I think the best thing that we could do to emulate the successes of the original party is to be involved in programs and to reinstitute the programs that help the community as a collective. Do we need breakfast programs all over the country? Well, not so much, because the government has taken that and they've expounded on it because of the original party. So what other things can we do to exactly help our communities? One of the things that I would like to incorporate up under my leadership is a nationwide literacy program. We have so many children that are reading under par throughout the country. And if you can't read, you can't get a basic comprehension of what you need to do in life. If our people are unable to educate themselves, how do they move forward as far as advancing themselves? We have to give them more opportunities. So one of the things that I'm pushing to initiate again is a nationwide literacy program uh, with the new Black Panther Party.
All right, brother.
Nice.
Want to follow up on that at all?
Definitely. I'd like to speak to that question. When they get to talking about who's a real Black Panther and who's not a real Black Panther. Okay. I talk about you guys heard me use the references, and we're talking about the Panther ingredients and the Panther cake. Now, if you've never tasted real peach cobbler and you've been eating peach cobbler from Safeway, don't tell me what type of peach cobbler you want, because you never really tasted the real peach cobbler with the real ingredients that go in it. You eating an imposter peach cobbler. Most people got their vision of the Panthers from that movie, okay, or from some white liberal interpretation of what they thought the Panther was. After it got to a certain point and it was moved away from its original idea, most people learned about the nation from the hate that hate made. You see, so a lot of times it's not necessarily the true. You're not looking at it in its from in the true lens. You're looking at it from someone else's lens. So they never really saw truly what the party was. They don't incorporate things like the fact that Matula Shakur did the acupuncture clinic in New York, which was getting people off of heroin, getting people off of cocaine and drugs and whatnot. They don't want to talk about that part. They only want to tell you about the guns, Oakland, Los Angeles, the shootouts, etc., where this criminal got chased through this chapter and this chapter and this chapter. All of this was initiated not by us. So, but they don't tell you about the inner workings of the health clinics, the liberation schools, which was what we called it. The liberation school later became what we call Head Start. The government took it over, and there's no liberation in it no more. They didn't squeeze all of that out. So when we start talking about what the real Panther is, you would have to really come to somebody like myself, who's a Panther baby, who's a product of the real Panther programs. I went to the only clinic I ever went to was the Carolyn Downs Clinic. That's Carolyn Downs was a Panther, and she, her and my father put together the Carolyn Downs Clinic for the people. So this is lifestyle. These are real things. That was the first school I went to was the Liberation School. That was the first preschool I went to, and that's how most of my friends that I know to this day. That's how we met. That's how we connected in Liberation School. So it's like when they start talking about what is a real Panther, it's kind of relative to who you're talking to. Because some people just only saw the movie. Some people maybe might have had a free breakfast. Some people maybe their mama messed around with a Panther, and maybe he was more of the movement Panther and not a member who really knew the 10-point program. You feel me?
Yeah.
So you get different kind of stories, man. So it's relative to who's talking about it. Now, if you get to talking to Elaine Brown about the party and its functions, because if you look at her, the party was at its apex when she was the chairman. When Huey was incarcerated, it's apex. All the programs are operating 100. You talk to her and you ask her, and she says something like that. You got to listen to what she's saying, because Elaine ain't just gonna say something. If you talk to, I'm gonna even say Bobby, and Bobby started talking about the programs, the quality of the programs then, and what we're doing now. You got to listen a little bit. Got to listen a little bit. So I take it with a grain of salt, family, because if it's somebody who don't really know about Panther stuff and they're saying that, okay, that's your opinion, great, First Amendment. But it's somebody who really does know, I have to listen. You know,
Black Power.
Like power.
yeah.
Organizing on a level for us is dangerous on all levels, whether it's black nationalists, all power to the people, whether doing it on a level where it's just our people or you being self-inclusive with a social economic status, whether it's Martin Luther King, doing it with peace, or whether it's
Right.
Malcolm X by any means necessary. Organizing for us has always been a dangerous job. So
Hmm.
people are gonna say what they want to say. We continue to put our heads down and do the work for the people. And we love the people more than they love themselves at points in times, because a lot of them don't even know it's something wrong until it happens to them. Uh, so that's my,
Real.
and we're going to move on to the next question. Brother Magnetic, we're going to throw this at you, all right?
Mhm.
So the Black Panthers went from black to all to people.
Right.
So what was the basis of that change?
Um, have you guys ever seen the films when they're in? I think they're in Mississippi and one in Alabama, and another one, and there's a big crowd of kids that are maybe in high school chanting Black Power at night. Y'all ever seen that?
I haven't.
Okay, I'm gonna find it and shoot it to you. And of course, Kwame Ture is at the helm of them, and he's loud as hell. Black Power, Black Power, Black Power. But also, you hear Baba Mukasa Ricks tell the story that's what really caught on, because I just want to explain Black Power real quick before I explain how it went from Black Power to the people. Um, People were asking, what can we do to change our quality of life here in the South? 'Cause that's where it started. Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, North Carolina, etc., where most of our people come from. Okay, and they said, well, we need to vote. So yeah, some people got to voting right and whatnot. Some people didn't get it, but at the end of the day, the conversation came from SNCC, okay, and the people that was organizing with them. They said we need Black Power to implement any of these things, and it was kind of vague. But for some reason, people down south got that more than anything. Freedom now, free to land, assalamu alaikum, Black Power stuff the strongest, because we all knew we was black, okay? But they had put a negative connotation to black, if you look it up in the dictionary, right? And in the Bible and whatnot. So when you attach it to power, oh, I can be black and I can be powerful. I can be myself and still be, oh, yeah, I'm with that for sure. You know what I mean? And all the bad things they had said about black now are being reversed, you see. So that was really terrifying to white people to see that image of young people saying Black Power, chanting it, man, chanting it, chanting like they've been saying it all their life. You see what I'm saying? Number one, now when we talk about COINTELPRO's objectives, let's go through it. He said they wanted to prevent the rise of a black messiah that could unify and electrify the black masses. Unify and electrify the black masses. So they had to kind of read. That was kind of scary, man. That language of Black Power to a lot of people, because that unification part mean, according to their words, that this person who's doing this has some Messiah, messianic type energy, according to their words, right?
Right.
Because it's unifying. So different people who came who dealt with the party, right, from different aspects of society, maybe peace and freedom party, maybe communists, maybe socialists, say, well, that kind of goes against the worker model. We're more of a, we're more about the worker, and we don't want to, offset our white worker comrades. So maybe we shouldn't say Black Power. Maybe is there another way we can say it? How about power to the people? Black people are people too. So that's, just, how they get on you, how they
Right.
work you. And, you know, uh, at a certain point, also on the West Coast, there was more white people coming into Black Panther Party meetings and stuff, because it's media and just considering where you're at. Oakland, that's just how it is. There's more white people in the black community. So they made their way in. People wanted to make them more comfortable. This brother over here, he an ex-pimp, so he got a couple white women he messing with and whatnot. Guess they didn't want to make them too comfortable. And then you have the whole thing of how they tried to make the Panther Party into the nation. So they was like, well, do you guys have the same line as them? Right? You hate all white people? Is the white man the devil? So to distance themselves from that, they had to come with power to the people, you see.
People.
And those people that we gave our power to are whooping our ass with the power, excuse my French, are whooping us with the power that we gave to them.
Mhm.
Then this is what I said to my uncle. He's the guy who you see with the gun that's on the steps in front. That's my Uncle Elmer. So we had this conversation, and I was like, I'm not a Power to the People Panther. I'm a Black Power Panther. Sorry. That's just what it is. He was like, well, why you say that? You know, da da da. I was like, man, because if you look at the rainbow, which is kind of what Power to the People kind of turned into a rainbow kind of thing, right? The rainbow is the separation of black. When you separate the color black, you get the color, you get the rainbow. And this goes into what they call BLM, but it's not Black Liberation Movement. It's Black Lives Matter. So there's this remix of all of our original terms, from Black Power to Power to the People, BLM, now from Black Liberation Movement to Black Lives, all this redefining of our terms that we put out here. And one thing I see that we must do in order for this to be right, man, we got to get some clarity on, like you said, how did it go from Black Power to Power to the People? Was that a good thing or a bad thing? And what informing agents caused these things to happen in the party? You know what I mean? And I'm not going to go too much into that because I'm sure y'all have some more good questions.
Okay, that was a good breakdown, brother. You know, we enjoyed it though, definitely. All right, brother Babu, what's your piece on that tad bit, brother Magnetic was speaking on?
Well, the brother kind of broke it down magnificently. So that was magnificent, magnetic.
Thank
Uh,
you,
uh,
bro.
just in reference to the Rainbow Coalition, it was originally started by Chairman Fred Hampton. So in no
Hmm.
way do we want to discourage the positive work that Chairman
Right,
Fred Hampton did with the Young Lords and those other organizations who were also fighting against oppression. But what
right.
we are saying now, in the social conditions that we're in now, and in the culture that we're in now, it may not be in our best interest to work
Right.
hand in hand with certain groups when it comes to the liberation of Black people. Dr. John Henry Clark said that we have no friends. So people will ride that wave as long as it benefits them. But when it comes to the direct struggle of the Black people, then they're usually absent from that struggle.
Most definitely. Oh, that's
Black power to that.
right. Oh, Black Power. That's strong right there.
Thank you, brother chairman. That's yeah.
You know, this is some good conversation and much needed, most definitely.
Hmm.
So let's go on to our next question. Brother Babu, we'll swing it over to you. Why do you think the youth of today involved in the revolutionary struggle?
Well, you kind of break it up there, but I understood what you said.
Hold on, I want to be clear so everybody can hear me. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yes, we can
Hmm.
hear you now.
Let me ask the question again.
Mhm.
Uh, why do you think the youth of today are not as involved in the revolutionary struggle?
Again, the same social conditions do not exist that existed in the time of the rise of the Black Panther Party. The same social conditions don't exist that came up uh, through the civil rights movement. We kind of just spoke on it a while ago. Our youth of today are subliminalized to more being inclusive, assimilated
Right. Right.
here in America. They think
Hmm.
that if you're part of any revolutionary action, that's going to take away their PlayStation 3. You know, that's going to take away their entertainers, the people that they follow. And again,
Hmm.
the entertainers today are not the same. As you know, the entertainers from the early civil rights movement were very embedded in the struggle itself.
Hmm.
Not so much in these times. You don't see a lot of entertainers talking about the movement or talking about the struggle or being directly embedded in the struggle.
Hmm.
You have a couple, KRS-One musically.
Hmm.
What's my brother from Mississippi, David Banner. You got a
Hmm.
couple of artists out there that are conscious and pushing conscious material, but
Hmm.
for the communities, for our youth now, their music is killing them, man. That's the music is killing them.
Real talk.
What they're seeing on public television is
Yeah.
disconnecting them from any type of struggle. You have more every time you turn on the TV, you see a man kissing another man, some type of homosexual act, and that's not going against homosexuals because whatever you do in your bedroom, that's your damn business. But when you start trying to put it on TV and
Right.
send out subliminal messages to our communities that it's okay, I think that changes a lot of their focus from a direct struggle to a reactionary one, which we usually get out of them after the murder of a black man, woman, or a child. So I think the youth today are more reactionary than they are
Mm.
preparing for what they might face in the future. Like Power.
Black Power. Brother Magnetic, won't you
Well
follow up?
said. Very well said, Brother Chairman. I absolutely agree with that. And if I could panther back on that, I would say, I have a song I do, y'all. It's called Way of Life. And it goes kind of like this. It kind of explains what we talking about. It says, I'm looking for my way of life. It seems my soul has lost its rhythm. It's easy to pretend from what I learned in school. Nobody ever told me to look within, to use the gifts that I've been given. Looking for my way of life to make my dreams come true. Oh. And it describes the youth of today. We come to them with politics, we come to them with monetary things, and they hold on to some of that momentarily. But if you don't have a way of life, something that helps you to get by, mental health, eating the right foods, right? Holding the right energy around yourself, you know what I mean? What type of mental intake you taking in. If you don't have something that prescribes that for you, you're not gonna make it. White supremacy is gonna chew you up and spit you out on the side of the road. And that's what I see our young people looking for. What we was looking for something, a new way of life that could pull us out of the game. Because I came out of the game, even though I was a Panther kid, I still was lost in the dope game. Because that's the only way you could get some money and get past to where you was at, honestly, no matter how much information or knowledge or education that you got. So they looking for a way of life. And this is why I talk about revolutionary culture, revolutionary culture, things that we're doing day to day that remind you of who you are, who you really are, not what they've made us into, but who you really are. Things that remind us of that are, maybe it might be music, maybe it might be images on your wall. Maybe it's certain affirmations that we say, but things that remind us of our best self. But if you only see like you were saying, family, all these images of the female rappers with they breast out and they everything else out, that make you think a certain way about yourself, and that's all you see. Unless if we can create a different type of environment where we can bring them into an educational setting, give them a job where they can make a living, give them examples of what a functional man and woman's relationship is supposed to look like, what a functional family is supposed to look like, how a functional community operates within civics, and like you were saying earlier, politically, how real people, functional people deal with politics, you know, as far as problems. And when people see that, now you grew up in this dirty glass. Now you see that's all you knew was the dirty water, the dirty glass. Now somebody put the clean glass next to it. Some people, because they're used to drinking dirty water, they on some dusty, they're gonna drink the dirty water and stay with it. Most people gonna pick that clean water. And that's what we got to put on the table, y'all. Something that's sustainable where they can make a living, where they could learn something and earn something. You know, they can employ themselves and not destroy themselves at the same time enjoy themselves. And I think they'll all rock with us. You know, I think they'll all come see us because most people who ask the kids to join something, they ain't offering them nothing. They want them to work for free. They talk crazy to them. You know, they're not putting it in a way where they can learn it. You know, they're not considering their learning methods. They just want them to come just for the fact that, hey, you black and I'm your elder and you should listen. No, we didn't like people coming at us like that. They don't like people coming at them like that. So, I think we have to do a psychological profile on the kids we're dealing with today to figure out who this is, what makes them move. That was the power of Dr. Khaled. He was a sociologist. So he knew the things that made people move or not move, and he pressed those buttons. And what you think?
Black Power.
Yeah, it worked out for him. Yeah,
It's not what a thing is doing, but why is the thing doing what it's doing? You
that
know,
part.
a culture that has been created for us to follow. And it's not a culture of thriving and being progressive. It is a culture of devastation. It is
Mm.
sexual misconduct, uh,
Trauma.
one of doing
Hmm.
thing you want to do whenever you get ready and simply just going and asking for forgiveness, which is a total lie. It's called grace.
Sad.
You will be held responsible for everything that it is you do in this day and hour before it is all said and done. Uh, so we have a responsibility because we are the ones that know. We know the culture that has been created for us. So we have to have that power in order to turn this thing around and create some kind of change for our people and give them an example or a direction to go. Because a lot of them have not seen it. It is what you see through your eyes. I remember being in ninth grade, going to the store with a friend of mine. We went to Dairy Queen getting the full meal deal. I had my $5 in my hand, and he told me $5 up. And he told me he got it and he pulled out a knot. I'm talking about a knot. I ain't never seen one like it before in my life. And I had to ask him, brother, what are you doing? And he said, I'm selling crack. And I asked him, well, what is crack and where do I get me some from? And
Mm.
because of what I seen in my eyes. And so we have to set that example. We see who putting what in face, dangling money from us. So we go at the crack, but then we don't see the back door, the trap, you know, that's coming along with it, the time, that we'll never be able to get back. If we want to change things, we have to change things by stop going to jail. We have loved ones who are going to jail over nothing at all whatsoever. And it's just a discipline that comes along with it that we have to have. There are many prophecies that are in the scriptures, and I've studied the ancient text
Mm.
so much. And we have the powers that be have put these things into some called the Holy Bible now. And the Holy Bible in Ezekiel chapter 37, I believe it is, speaks of the valley of the dry bones.
Mm.
It talks about a people who would be lost. They would be shipped out all over the world to four corners of the earth. They would speak the languages of their captors. They would serve the gods of the people who took them into captivity. They wouldn't know where they were from. They wouldn't have any direction on where they were going. They would be treated horribly. Not only would they catch hell from their enemies, but they would also fight amongst themselves and they would trip over one another as it were a sword. One day it was prophesied that the valley of these dry bones would get their act together. There were going to be signs that were pointed in the earth that said they were getting their act together. One of these signs is they will begin to call themselves by a different name and begin to reject their captor's identity that had been placed on them. The valley of the dry bones would start shaking and rattling all of a sudden, and the bones would start to come together as one and become whole again.
Mhm.
And when these bones stood up, these bones would stand up in the form of an army with ranks, with generals, with
Mhm.
captains, with lieutenants, with sergeants, with orders being handed down in a very strict and orderly form. And what does an army have? An army have weapons. So as I began to read these prophecies, I thought, what looks like that for us today? Is it the gangs we have? No. Is it the Hebrew brothers that take to the streets holding their Bibles in their hands? No. It is the new Black Panther Party. This is the army. This is the
Okay.
vehicle that will take us to where we're trying to go. The question is, do we understand it? The time we're living in, the prophecies that have been written about us, the names have begun to change. And now the great army is being called to this day to stand, not with your Bibles, but with your weapon, because your enemy has a weapon as well, and you can't bring a stick to a gunfight. You have to be able to defend yourself and your family at the end of the day. Once our people began to understand, to put down religion, they begin to arm themselves, not because we want to, but because we are forced to. Because everything in nature has a self-defense mechanism, and you
Right.
have the human right to be able to defend yourself against any kind of enemy, whether it be foreign or domestic.
Say that.
If it is
Black Power.
family and you hear the calling of today, and you think it may be your time to come and join this great army, we feel as though in this day and time we are at the pinnacle of our rise again because we are headed somewhere. We were headed somewhere back in the 60s, and one bullet cut off the hearts of millions. So as we begin to go back on that journey again today, will you come ride in the new Black Panther Party vehicle with us as we begin to form this army and call all of our great soldiers home to where it all began?
Mm.
We know who we are, and we know that this is the greatest and the foremost respectable organization that is walking in this day and hour in our time. The call is going out. NBPP, the number 4 defense at gmail.com. We want everybody to come on back home. We're going to launch a homecoming campaign for all the Panthers. When the shepherd is slaughtered, the sheep go astray. And we think that all the pieces are in place for everybody to come back home under the leadership of Babu Omawali. You have a place here with us. We invite you back, and the time is now. And we ask you to seize the time. All right, Brother Magnetic, I'm swing it back over to you.
Come on.
Who do the elders pass the torch to if the youth are not interested in our plight?
I would say it's always gonna be certain people that come and qualify themselves, family. I would say nobody else would be qualified or strong enough to hold the torch anyway. And like what is it, Timothy 2, chapter 2, verse 15 says, study to show thyself approved, a workman that need not be ashamed, rightly divided in the word of God. So when you're hungry, you need to put some food in there, right? When you get too much food in there, you got to go to the bathroom, right? Get rid of it. Your bladder get heavy, you got to use the bathroom. People know what they're supposed to be doing at certain times, family, but what they will act like is that they don't know. So we're pushing from and back of them, but what's coming from the front of them is what's called the wall of reality. And that's what's going to push them right to the party faster than what you think. And it's good that we're getting the house together because there's about to be a whole lot of people coming to the house. You can look at what's going on in the world and see this. We can also look at what was going on in the 50s, right? It was a time of, happy day type stuff, everybody chummy chum, mom and pop and stuff, right? But then 59 and 60 hit and the stuff changed just that quick, right? This is the time we're looking at also because we go back 100 years, the same thing that was happening then is happening now. A lot of immigrants coming in, influencing the black community. Isn't that what was going on around 1920, 1930 and whatnot? Influx of immigrants. They also had a pandemic in 1918. We had one in what, 2019, 2020. So a lot of stuff that repeats
Very
itself.
true.
And I see this as being, we're coming up on the time where we're kind of right in the time when the UNIA initiated, really kicked in. So, you know, our people that are our age and younger and stuff, they never experienced, really experienced and saw in the physical, the Black Panther Party, black men standing together as one, the Nation of Islam standing together as one. They never saw the UNIA. For them to see us standing as one, real unity, not fake unity, brotherhood and sisterhood, family, irregardless of what happened to the Panthers in the 60s and what happened with the new Black Panther Party, for us to put it back together and stand as one, for them to see, that's gonna go a long way, family. That's gonna go a lot, because most people said most organizations that the government destroys, they don't come back. If they do, they come back some weak Frankenstein version of their self. They don't come back. So when one comes back and comes back stronger and has made corrections, you got to think about that. Because I always looked at the party as our immune system, family. That's how I look. Nation Islam too. Certain aspects of it is our immune system, because ideologically they protected us from certain weak, wicked ideas. Physically, we know they protected us. Okay, so when these things were taken away, when the messenger passed away, and Wallace come and do his thing, when the party got dismantled, we lost our mental immune system, right, and our physical immune system, the ability to be able to protect our community. Crack comes in, all these other informing agents to turn us into something other than self. Whatever it is, it's other than self. You know what I mean? So the party is our immune system. If it's not strong, then the body, our community, is not strong. If it's not functional, then our people are going to be literally sick, because there's things that can come in that don't need to come in. There's things that are going out, leaving the body, that don't need to leave. That's how I look at it, man. And now the fact that y'all down in the South, I'm up here in the North, we got brothers in the East and the Midwest. That's all the electrolytes of the body activating, you know?
Like
Black
power.
Power.
Black power.
Same to you, brother Babu. Let me ask the question again. Um,
Oh, I understood it. I got
yeah,
it.
go ahead and pick it back off of that.
Uh, basically, the youth are going to inherit the struggle by default. You don't have to pass it on to them. There's going to come a time where you
Exactly.
and I and Brother Magnetic, we're going to become old men, and we're not going to be able to
Exactly.
be in this fight 24/7 for the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years.
Mm.
So the youth don't have a choice. They have a choice, and that choice is to fight the powers or be assimilated. And if we don't start to teach them and train them now, what we know as an African culture will start to disappear in the shores of North America
Yep.
as our kids become more accustomed to being assimilated into American social conditioning. They're going to give up on the history. So they inherit the struggle by default, brother. They're going to either fight and they're going to either win or they're going to be assimilated.
All right,
Like power.
Black Power.
Mm.
Brother Magnetic, we're getting
Well
ready.
said.
You have a few minutes. What would you like to tell the people at the end of the day in your closing statements?
Just like to let everybody know, man, I'm looking at myself and my two brothers here, and I've, done a lot of study as far as their work, not a whole lot, but enough, study into their work, and just want to let people know that, this is what we're here doing. We're putting the house, remodeling the house, man, so that it can accommodate more people, so that the house is more functional. What house are we talking about? The Panther House. So with remodeling the house, we're also looking into the ingredients that have went into a lot of the dishes that people have changed to where, things don't taste the same, things don't feel the same. We want to get it back to that house that Kwame Ture, that Willie Mukasa Ricks, that Malcolm, the messenger put on the table, that Kathleen Cleaver and a lot of them folks put on the table, that original party, Asada Shakur, put on the we want to make it that to where it's by Stet's house and not another version. Nobody can be a better version of the party, make a better version of the party than Black people. And when other people start doing that, this is when we find ourselves somewhere else. And I'm very happy to see that it's all Black men, Black women, Black people reconstructing and putting this together. Ain't no purse strings that lead back to no white philanthropists and whatnot. That makes a big difference. And I'm not dissing no white folks, because we all know white folks. There's some cool white folks, man. The white chocolate that's in the hood. I'm not dissing y'all. Some of y'all might be related to us, but we know there's some other ones that have put some other ingredients into the party that made it other than what it's supposed to be. So I'm like I said, I'm very happy to see this party coming back together, you know, doing what it's supposed to do in the time that it's doing it. And I definitely thank y'all for having me on the show to chop it with you.
Yes, sir.
Hmm.
Black Power.
We appreciate you, brother, your input, your knowledge, very informative, being able to take us, from the past into the present and on
Hmm.
the vision as far as what we should be doing for the future.
Indeed.
All right, brother Babu, this is your opportunity to close out. What are going to be your final words to the people seeing you for the first time? Oh,
Uh, we as a collective, we as a Black community nationwide have to decide where we sit. Are we Black power or are we power to the people? Because there is a difference. There is a difference. So we went through that. I'm not going to go through it again, but we have to decide which side of the paradigm do we fall on.
Right.
Do we represent Black power? Do we represent Black economics? Do we represent Black political power?
Hmm.
Do we represent Black culture and Black education? Or do we represent all of that for all of the people? We need to decide what platform and what ideology we stand on. And 1 minute before we close out, and I'm going to be done,
Hmm.
just to speak real briefly, because we ain't got but 3 minutes left anyway,
Hmm.
on the struggle of the Palestinian people and Palestine. I want people to understand that after the murder of George Jackson, when they cleaned out George Jackson's cell, he had two pieces of literature in his cell.
Hmm.
One of those pieces of literature was written by a Palestinian poet. And Brother George Jackson held on to that literature. So, what I'm trying to get to is the liberation of Palestine and the liberation of Black people has went hand in hand since the 1960s. When Freddie Gray was murdered in Baltimore, Maryland, the Palestinian people had a big outcry and a big rally in their country. So it's not like they've never, some Black people say, what have the Palestinians did for us? When have they been involved with us? I'm just giving you a timeline that our struggles are united. How you feel about it and how you choose to react about it is on you. But I'm giving you an example of where the Palestinian people have stood in solidarity with Black people in America. And that's all I have for today, brother. And I look forward to us continuing this show and continuing to dialogue with the masses of the people. Black power.
Black power.
Wow.
There will be wars and rumors of wars. When the clouds come, you can tell that there will be rain afterwards. What do we see today as a people? Do we understand the times that we are living in? Do we understand the necessity of us being protective of our people? Are we coming back into our right frame of mind of who we are as a people? Are we shaking off the fear of not governing ourselves? We have to be able to govern ourselves. We cannot be afraid. We have to take on the play. We have to take back our power on the football field, in the basketball arena. Everywhere we have power, we want it. We don't want to continue to be ruled by those who hate us and write law policies against us that showed us they hate us. This is our time today. We love you. We thank you. We want to say Black Power. We do not just want soldiers on the ground. We want the best of all of our people that we have. Nurses, doctors, psychologists, scientists. This is a call for one and a call for all. Come dedicate your time and your service under this new leadership. You will be treated with great respect. We will honor you. We will love you. And we'd like to say thank you for your time today, for joining in. Truth to Power Radio, to the War Room. Meeting for the first time, the national chairman of the new Black Panther Party. But this won't be your last time. So have a good night. Enjoy yourself. Peace and power to everybody. Black Power.
Black Power refinement.